Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here. This is a space where nothing needs to be fixed, explained, or rushed. You are welcome here to come as you are. Um, you're invited to be cameras on, cameras off. I would say everyone mute until discussion time. If you have a question, you can click the more and click the raise your hand. And I can pause. Um, I recommend that you find a comfortable position, maybe feet on the floor, one hand on your chest or belly. We'll begin with 3 slow breaths. And then maybe think of one word for how you are arriving tonight and just kind of hold that with you. And as you think of that word, that one word that brought you here tonight, maybe notice if you can feel anything in your body when you think of that one word. Now, before we really get into the group, I always like to read the community guidelines. Um, so, our community guidelines at Inward Bloom are we do not interrupt, fix, or interpret others. We use I language and stay with our own experience. We do not tolerate racism, homophobia, transphobia, fat phobia, ableism, or spiritual bypassing. Confidentiality is expected. So, what is shared here stays here, and all forms of participation are valid. So, tonight we are on week 7, which is loneliness and being misunderstood. And this is all about grieving in a world that moves on. So I want you to try to think about when you feel most alone in your grief. Now, grief can feel especially heavy when the world keeps moving, when people stop asking, when support fades, or when it feels like no one really understands what you're carrying. And if that's something you're experiencing or have experienced, you are not alone. You're not alone. Now, let's take a few minutes to just kind of gently bring ourselves to our body awareness. So take a moment to settle your body in whatever way feels supportive. Maybe sitting on the floor or on a chair, or even laying down. And if you're seated, feel your feet on the ground, your body supported beneath you. No need to sit perfectly, just comfortably. And let your eyes soften if that feels okay, or even close. And just begin to notice your breath, your regular breath, not changing it or observing it, just observing it. No changing, no forcing. Now, gently bring your attention to your body. Notice your face, your skin, your jaw, the tongue, throat. Notice your chest, your heart space. Notice your shoulders, your arms, all the way down to your hands and each individual finger. Notice your rib cage, your waist, your hips, your legs, your sitting bones. Notice your knees and your lower legs and calves, ankles and feet, and each toe. And just notice without the need to fix or change anything. And if you notice any holding or tightness or even numbness, that's okay. We are noticing our bodies, noticing as we think about grief, how it feels. And you don't need to change anything. It's just an acknowledgement and noticing. And the acknowledgement is this is what's here right now, right? So now gently bring awareness to your breath again, back to your natural breath. And as you inhale, just notice. And as you exhale, just notice. And begin to ask yourself, what emotion is here right now? And there's no right answer. Maybe it's sadness, could be loneliness, anger. Maybe nothing is clear at all. But whatever comes up, just let it be valid and notice. And see if you can name it quietly to yourself. This is loneliness. This is heaviness. This is grief. And as you breathe, imagine making just a little bit of space for that feeling. Not pushing it away, not holding it any tighter, just allowing it to exist. Now, something that often comes up in grief is loneliness. It's not just being physically alone, but feeling unseen. Like the depth of what you're experiencing isn't fully understood. Sometimes people disappear. Sometimes they don't know what to say. And sometimes they expect you to be okay sooner than you're able. And that can create a second layer of pain and grief. Not just the loss, but the feeling of being left alone inside. And if you've ever felt that, that is a very real and common part of grief. There's nothing wrong with your feelings. It's perfectly normal and part of this process, this slow process. Just let that settle for a moment, that it's normal to feel empty or lonely after losing. So take a moment and gently reflect on this question. When do I feel most alone in my grief? And you don't need to force an answer. Just think about it and think about and notice how you feel in your body when you ask yourself that question. Now, it might be a time of day, a place, or a memory, a situation. Just let it come naturally. When do I feel most alone in my grief? Now, if it helps, you can explore very gently. Is it when I'm around people? Is it when I'm by myself? Is it when I want to talk but don't feel understood? Is it when I feel expected to be okay? And just notice what arises. Notice what arises in your mind and your body, where you feel it. Is it in your throat or your chest? Maybe your belly, your hip or leg. Now, if you have a journal or something to write down, you can begin writing or even jotting down what comes up, where you feel something in your body. The thought process that's come to your mind, your answer. And there's no need to be perfect. You don't need to be a writer. You can just write words, whatever comes to your mind. Maybe it's just colors or a certain situation. Maybe it's just one person that keeps coming to your mind, or maybe an animal or a place. And then if you feel like you would like to journal more, write yourself some questions like, when do I feel most alone in my grief? And what do I wish people understood? Maybe make a list of the things that make loneliness harder. And the things that I actually need in those moments. And as you come back to these questions, just think of them freely. And sometimes it's easier to have a pen and a paper in front of you because as you think about these questions and lists and notice things in your body, memories and words, people, places, certain situations will just kind of pop into your mind. And instead of just pushing them to the side, write them down. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just write them down so that you can go back to it later and know that you were present and acknowledging the loneliness and your grief within your body and your mind. So if words don't come, you can write fragments or even just sit and feel, and then maybe write how you are feeling in your body and your mind. Now, I want to help you with a gentle memory reflection. So gently bring to mind a memory of the person, place, or thing that you are grieving. And not to overwhelm yourself, but just to acknowledge the connection. Just bringing them to mind. Now, notice what comes up in your body as you remember. There might be warmth or a chill, tingling sensations. You may feel sadness, love, anger, jealousy, or a mix of everything. And just let that exist. And acknowledge that this is all grief. A tight shoulder as you think of this. Your stomach flips, or you have butterflies. Your neck starts to hurt all of a sudden. These are all part of grieving as we sit and acknowledge them. And this connection is still part of you. Now, another thing that can be very helpful, especially during loneliness, is a symbol or an object of reflection. So if you have an object with you, say a ring or a photo, clothing, anything that represents your loss, it doesn't have to be from the person, place, or thing. It could just remind you of it. For me personally, a lot of my life, I connect music and specific songs with people and places and situations and the loss of them. So sometimes when I hear a certain song, that would be my symbol or my object. So I might have a tape or a CD or maybe even just a picture of the album cover, you know, or the song itself, the record, or MP3. And what you want to do is have an object. The only object I have right now is my beaver. So you want to hold it. You want to hold your object and reflect. And if you don't have an object or a symbol, you can write something down, maybe a swirl or the name of a record, or just imagine that something symbolic is in your hands. And as you connect with this thing, notice your hands, the object itself. Again, notice your body. If anything stirs in your body or your mind. And I also want you to think, what does this represent for me? And maybe what does this hold that others may not fully see? So sometimes our grief lives inside of these objects. They can hold stories, memories, private, personal meanings that words just can't explain. And just hold your object for a few moments. And I have a brief reading I want to share with you. So, grief is deeply personal, and yet it often feels invisible. You might notice that others expect you to be better off or move on. You might notice you feel unseen or unheard, or even judged for the way your heart aches. Sometimes the world doesn't know how to hold your grief, so it looks away. Sometimes it feels like everyone has an opinion about how you should feel, how you should do, or how long your sadness should last. But loneliness and grief is just the absence of company. It's not that. It's the absence of understanding. Now, you might feel isolated in a room full of people. You might feel misunderstood even by those who care about you the most. That's normal. And that's very human. This is the complexity of loss. Grief does not follow timelines. It doesn't follow cultural expectations or logic. It resists tiny explanations. It resists conformity. So tonight we create space to acknowledge what it feels like to be lonely and misunderstood without trying to fix it. We honor the truth in your experience, wherever it lands. Now, maybe ask yourself very gently, where in my life do I feel most unseen? And when have I felt misunderstood in my grief? What does my heart need when I feel this way? Now, you do not have to answer these questions out loud. You don't have to justify your feelings. You only need to notice them. Acknowledgement is often more healing than advice. Witnessing your own grief is the first step towards feeling held and seen. And even if others cannot see or understand your grief, tonight you are seen. Tonight you are seen. Your feelings are valid. Your experience is enough. You are not failing by feeling this loneliness. You are responding naturally to profound loss. Now, before we share, which of course is always optional, and just listening is also valid. Let's put our objects aside for a moment, lay down our notebook or journals for a moment, and we're going to take a few moments to just notice how loneliness is feeling now in our bodies. And try to create a sense of inner holding. And I want you to place your feet flat on the floor if you're sitting. If you're lying down, try to also put your feet on the floor. Let your chair or the floor or ground support your weight. Let gravity hold and support you. And feel that stability. Just notice you are being held. You are being supported by gravity, by the earth, by magnetism. Take a slow breath through your nose and a longer breath out of your mouth, like a sigh. Let's do another. In through the nose, sigh out of the mouth. Bring awareness to your hands. Maybe gently rest them on your lap, your chest, wherever feels safe. Notice their warmth. Notice their weight and the contact. Now gently bring awareness to your heart space, collarbone and your upper ribs, your lungs, the rise and fall of your chest. Maybe even hone into your heartbeat, breath. Notice any tightness, heaviness, emptiness. But also notice the subtle rhythms and the pulse and warm sensations. And if moments of loneliness appear as a thought or a sensation, maybe heaviness or tightness or hollowness, or even agitation, just simply notice it. Acknowledge it. No judging, no fixing, just noticing. Now, imagine your breath just slowly moving into those places, softening it slightly. Loosening and softening. And with each inhale, invite awareness And with each exhale, a small circle of safety with sensation. Now, if it feels safe, maybe put a hand on your belly and silently say, it's okay to feel lonely. I'm here with myself. I'm noticing. I'm acknowledging. And notice if that creates even a small sense of holding or comfort. Just take another small breath in and exhale out gently through the nose. In and out through the nose gently. Noticing the rise and fall of your chest. Air filling up your belly, your lungs. Notice any tightness or holding. And try to inhale space and loosening. Now, as we bring our attention back to the room, notice if you heard anything, a whisper or a song. Maybe you sensed something or tasted something, smelled something. Notice the lights and your body. Notice your skin, how it feels against your clothing. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe roll your shoulders a bit. Open your eyes wide. Look around. Feel your face. Notice your jaw and your neck, your throat. And just acknowledge these feelings and sensations in our mind and our body. As we think about this loneliness and grief, and I'll bring us back to how this is so misunderstood. As the world moves on and we still grieve. And how we feel most alone in our grief. Now, we can take this time to open the grief support circle. And if you'd like to share, or if you want to just read what you wrote, or if anything during this support group made you think of things or notice any holding, or tightness, warmth, a chill. You're here to hold space and listen. Now, in closing, I'd like to remind you that this is a community wellness group. There is no payment expected. This is a gentle, body centered approach to navigating loss. It honors that grief is not only held in your mind, but also in your body. And through breath, awareness, and subtle practices, we create space here to feel, process, and release at your own pace and without pressure, judgment, or expectation. Your presence here is so meaningful, and it is an honor to share this space with you. If you feel called to support this work, donations are welcome and will go directly to Inward Bloom Wellness via Venmo at Inward Bloom. Now, also, if you would like to have an appointment with me or any of the other holistic practitioners at Inward Bloom, please visit us at www.inwardbloomwellness.com to schedule an appointment or to have a consultation. If you would like to schedule an appointment with me, Monica, at Inward Bloom for transformational guidance, Reiki, somatic experiences, or sound bath and hypnosis, you can contact me at Monica at inwardbloomwellness.com, or you can call and leave a message at 445 300 8282, and my extension is 103. Now, I want to also remind you to always come back to your breath if you need to. Your breath and your heartbeat are there for you as long as you are alive on this earth. And as you are in this earth, gravity is also always here holding and caressing you, holding you to the earth. You can always come back to your breath and notice space around you. Even in loneliness, there is still a connection. You are not the only one carrying these emotions. You are unique. Each body and mind is, and we hold things uniquely and individually, but you don't have to carry it alone, not completely. And if it feels right, you can place a hand on your heart or your body saying, I'm allowed to feel this. I don't have to rush this. And I want to thank you all for coming, for listening, for joining every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. I also want to remind you that after tonight, you might want to continue journaling, maybe spend some quiet time with your meaningful object. You may want to rest more than usual. That's totally normal. And I do suggest to drink lots of water and come back to your breath and ground yourself. Brief work, even though it's quiet, can make things move internally. So be gentle with yourself. Remind yourself that you're allowed to feel. You are allowed to be angry. You are allowed to breathe. Thank you very much for coming. Have a wonderful evening.